if you are laser focused on starting one business, you probably don't need to hire an assistant yet. But if you're trying to leverage and amplify your time and amplify your businesses and your side hustles, hire a VA to manage your certain tasks. You'll amplify your income. If they can do it at an 80% as well as you can do it, delegate it. Get it off of your to-do list, get it off your plate, and start focusing on the 20% that is the most profit generating. Like if you hate making cold calls, get a VA that makes your cold calls, because they might make 100, but you might make 10 because you hate it so much.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Walk to Wealth podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do us a favor and give us a follow. Not for us, but because I don't want you to have FOMO. We're bringing on amazing guests all year this year, and I don't want you to miss out on these amazing episodes that I'm bringing on. So without further ado, let's get right into this one. For anyone that doesn't know you, Nikki, tell us about yourself. Tell us your elevator pitch. Who are you and what do you do?
All right. So thank you for the tee up, John. I am Nikki Cobble. I'm a young entrepreneur just like you. I did go the college route. I went on that full ride. Kind of teacher's pet kid, 4.7 in high school, 4.0, graduated 3 years from college, and then realized, just like you, I'm not trying to be in the rat race. I'm not trying to make money for anybody else. So by the age of, 19, I was running my own business. And since then, now I'm 22, I am running 3 businesses while contracting for other startups.
Amazing. And it's so inspiring to hear. But before we really dive deep into what we're going to talk about today, take us into the time machine a little bit. Take us back to little Nikki. What was it like growing up? Where does this entrepreneur come from? What was it like growing up in your household?
Right. So I will say I did have 2 entrepreneurial-ish parents. So it's not like it did come out of nowhere. I never envisioned having a boss. Though my sister, she did take the corporate route. No disrespect on that. But I always kind of saw myself doing my own thing. So even in middle school, and I feel like a lot of people can relate, I was selling, this was big back then. In middle school, I was selling like tech decks and like these little beans or whatever that can never get knocked down, something like that. So from a young age, I definitely was kind of side hustling and then babysitting. So I really, other than 2 months of waitressing one summer, I have never worked for another person. I was always kind of doing my own thing, making my own cash.
Let me ask you an interesting question, though, because school came, I'm assuming, relatively easy to you. And although I didn't have a 4.7, it came pretty easy to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And where was that flip that made you realize, like, hey, I'm actually not going to go down this road that I signed up for. I'm actually going to do this other route. Was it during the pandemic or was it because for me, it was during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, I always kind of envisioned, I just never saw myself working for someone. There was a part of me that almost assumed it in college because that is what you are taught. You are taught to obey. You're taught to follow. The curriculum is still based on, the industrial factory ages. They want you to just do what you're told and be nice or, be quiet or whatever. But really, it was almost burnout. It was almost, I have worked so hard for so long trying to get these perfect grades to please my teachers, to please my professors, that it was almost like, okay, it's time for me to please myself, for lack of a better word, and make my own money and not keep, making other people satisfied or rich. Yeah.
And that's amazing. It's one of those things where it usually takes a lot. And I'm going to ask, because I know I had a bit of backlash when I decided to, take this entrepreneurial track. What was it like for you? Because as I said, you grew up, you had the grades, you had everything, you had the full ride, and you probably had job offers or, opportunities potentially lined up to go down the traditional track. When you made the jump to go down the entrepreneurial road, did you receive any, I wouldn't say backlash, but sometimes it's like, oh, how about maybe you consider get a job first or something like that. Any of those, I guess whatever you may call it, but that sounds like they're caring for you, but in reality, it's their insecurities projecting onto you. Like, what was it like going on that entrepreneurial track for the people around you?
Yeah, absolutely. So inevitably, every single person will face this. Every single person, when I graduate, their first question is, what do you do? And I will say, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing this. And immediately, maybe particularly because I'm female too, I don't know if it's kind of worse. It's probably a little bit the same, but it's like, oh, like that's cute, or like, good for you, or call me in a year and I'll get you a job. Because I was getting job offers from corporations. I had great grades. I just knew that's not what I wanted to do. So I turned them down. But you're definitely going to get people that, they never took that leap, because you need balls, you need persistency. It's a risk. And people are so risk adverse that pity is a strong word, but they will almost show pity on you for taking that leap.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's so funny how that dynamic worked. I had one time I went to church, and one of my friends one of the guys that I went to church with, we known each other since almost like super little kids, and his mom happened to be at the church that Sunday. And so after the congregation, we had like a fellowship where we were eating dinner or eating lunch. And his mom, he was like, John, aren't you in real estate? I was like, yeah. He was like, my mom's trying to get a real estate license. Mind you, his mom is about a little over double my age. So she's in her 50s, if I'm not mistaken. And we were talking, and she was asking me for advice on how to get your real estate license. And then as soon as she found out that I didn't finish college, and she was like, the whole roles kind of switched. And it's like, she then started telling me how you should finish, or you should do this, X, Y, Z. And it's like, you literally just were asking me for advice on what you should do for your life to get into real estate, which I already got to. And then as soon as you find out I didn't finish college, you're going to try and convince me to go to college. You were just asking for my advice. It's funny how the dynamic works, and people, it's like, especially once you start getting it going, it's like, oh, maybe I should be asking you. But until you prove it to them, but you don't have to prove anything to anyone, but until in their heads it's proven that you actually managed to find a way, it's hard for them to get over the fact that you were confident enough, you were courageous enough, you were bold enough to take that risk and step into that abyss and not know what's coming out and make it out alive. So let's kind of segue into today's conversation a little bit. You've been pretty much outsourcing and delegating at a very early age, and people tell us at this age that the hustle culture, you have to wear all the hats, you have to do, and you pretty much made a business around the complete opposite. And outsourcing. Yeah. So tell us, how does Nikki come about? Where did this idea come from? Is it something you started with somebody else? Is it an idea you kind of all started by yourself? Tell us where it all began.
Yeah, so the idea, I was probably running my own business for about a year. And again, that was as an ISO, independent sales organization, for a processing company. It's kind of boring, so I won't even go into it. It's not important to the story. But I knew, because that was right when I graduated, I started reading a ton of business books, the one being 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when I started hearing about virtual assistants for the first time, and how he leveraged them to be able to make more money while working less. And so self-reflection, I realized, I don't like the processing industry. It's making me great money, but I don't want to manage it. I want to go start more businesses, but have someone else manage my processing business. So I looked into having a virtual assistant. Essentially, I went from going 8 hours a day on my processing business to maybe 1 hour a week. And then it allowed me to start 2 more businesses. So yes, if you are laser focused on starting one business, you probably don't need a hire assistant yet. But if you're trying to leverage and amplify your time and amplify your businesses and your side hustles, hire a VA to manage your certain tasks, and you'll amplify your income just from making your streams passive.
Yeah, and it's something that you come off and make it sound so easy. I know there's a little bit more steps, so let's get into the technicalities a little bit, right? When it comes to delegation, as I said, it's hard because most of the time we get into the entrepreneurship thing, and it's like our baby. We have this kid, right? We just birthed this business, and now we have to grow this business and take care of this business so it can finally leave the nest and run on its own. And it's something that almost similar to how parents feel with their kids. A lot of people attach themselves to their business, and we're always taught that if you want something done, do it yourself. If you want something done correctly, do it yourself. And pretty much you have to give up a lot of that ego and a lot of that control. So what was that process like for you? Did you have to go through anything? And if you didn't have to really go through that different mindset shift, what would you advise some of the people that are still hanging on to, like, hey, I got to be the one that has his hands in every part of the business?
Mm-hmm. Well, just like you were just saying, the one that has to have their hands in everything. And that was totally me. I'm very type A. I think, and for the most part, I know that I can perform things better than, someone who's less experienced at doing it. But at some point you have to realize, in order for me to scale, in order for me to stop working in my business and work on it, in order to stop being my bottleneck, you have to start delegating. And I don't know who it was. Probably so many business books reference I think it's Pareto's law or something like that, with the 80-20 rule, which basically if they can do it at an 80% as well as you can do it, delegate it, get it off of your
plate,
to-do list, get it off your plate, and start focusing on the 20% that is the most profit generating. And that's a lot of talk and not a lot of the baby steps. I know you want some actionable steps, so I'll definitely get into that later when you want it or now.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So like, where does one begin, right? Because it's not like you just call up a VA and it's like, okay, you work for me, let's get it going. Usually you have to do a lot of preparation in advance. So before you even go out looking for a VA, hire a VA, what do you have to do to prepare in advance for your business, for your endeavor, so that you could be ready to onboard someone to help you out?
Absolutely. So even before the prep of, what am I gonna have them do, or I got to start making the SOPs, kind of fast forward rewind one step before that.
Real quick. SOPs. As I said, I'm right here with you. Our audience is just getting into entrepreneurship. Like, what's the SOP? Break that down for us.
SOP. I will get into that, I promise. But SOP really just means it stands for Standard Operating Procedure. And really, it's just a list or a guide of instructions or steps on a certain task. Even using videos sometimes too. I definitely encourage screen recording. But it's really the steps it takes to complete a certain task.
All right, so let's get right back into it.
In its simplicity. So let's say, you are focusing on your one, it's not a side hustle, or maybe it is a side hustle, but you're focusing on one thing, your one stream of income. Let's just make it really simple. And you're considering a VA. Step one is perform a self-time audit. Just literally set an alarm on your phone every 3 hours. And when that alarm goes off, write down what you just did, how long it took, whatever. You can do it at whatever time intervals, but just really document what task you did in that time period and how long it took. Because most people think, I just need a social media VA, but really they're spending 4 hours in their inbox a day, and they should not be doing that. So really it brings to your forefront of your mind of, this is how I'm spending my time and this is where it's being spent. And that is step number one by far. So step one, perform that time audit. Step two, analyze your time audit. That is how you will determine what skills and talents your virtual assistant will need. So step 3, step 4-ish, kind of in between, is start gathering the SOPs or the standard operating procedures that you would want to give them, because there is preparation work required. Not much, but they're not mind readers. They need steps in order to function, particularly because they're likely going to be remote. And then start sourcing and recruiting, which there's 2 methods you can go for sourcing and recruiting. So I'm going to let you chime in for a second, and then I can keep going. Yeah.
So I want to dive deeper into a little bit with the SOPs part, right? And you mentioned earlier too, right? You need to focus on the profit generating activities. Some people call them money making activities, whatever, but the 20%, right, that drives your business. How do you start to analyze that? A lot of people don't know really what it is that drives their business. They know roughly what it is that they do, but for anyone that's beginning, like, how important is it to find out your metrics and things like that, so that you could be on top of everything and you could actually have a hard number that you can look on and say, hey, okay, when I do this, I get X, Y, Z in return, and when I do this, I get less X, Y, Z in return.
Mm-hmm. It's extremely important, but it's not always quantifiable. You can't always say, okay, if I reach out to 10 people on LinkedIn, it leads to a profit of $5 per, lead. I mean, it's not really that quantifiable, but I mean, I would say you just analyze the tasks that not only are profit generating, some are extremely obvious, like sending out 100 email marketing campaigns a day, or, broadcasts a day, or making X amount of sales calls, or, what's profit generating, whereas sending emails or not sending emails, just cleaning out your email or doing data entry or stuff like that, that is $10 an hour work that you should not be doing. So not only should you be delegating the $10 an hour work, but you should also be delegating the stuff that brings you no joy or no passion or that you suck at, because those are not going to get done. Like if you hate making cold calls, get a VA that makes your cold calls, because they might make 100, but you might make 10 because you hate it so much. So delegate the $10 an hour work and delegate the stuff that you hate at or suck at.
I'm going to take a little bit of a tangent here because I'm genuinely curious. But like, you have so much fire. What keeps you going? What is your engine? What is fueling you? You have so much, and you have all these businesses. We're going to take a little bit of a hiatus from our main topic of our conversation, but I can't help but wonder.
God, I wonder that every day too. But it's just in me. I'm just really, I kind of just know my value. I know that I am capable of achieving 7 figures, which is definitely my goal, your goal. It's all of our goals. And I'm impatient about it. So I'm going to get 7 figures. I know I'm capable of it. That's what I'm on this, like, that's not why I'm on this earth. I have other values, but I'm just in a rush to get there and kind of earn it. And that's kind of what you have to have as an entrepreneur. Is it? A lot of it is the boring work. So you just got to be able to fail and be consistent and be persistent. And I'm blessed to be able to go about it in an optimistic way.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate really quickly, because from a lot of we talked about earlier, big fish, right? A lot of these bigger fish that get to a certain point in life where they have it all, always say that to like slow down, to stick it out, that it's not an overnight thing. It is going to take time. It is going to, be a while, to enjoy the process. How do you not lose yourself in this, I have to get to this goal, and actually stop to smell the roses? What is your process like for enjoying the journey that you're on and not trying to just fast track everything and then wake up one day and like, oh, all the time that I spent working on this just slipped through my hands?
Great question. And I'm 100% guilty of trying to press fast forward and not like enjoying the moment. I'm so guilty of that. But really it is, as lame as it sounds, definitely scheduling in time where I'm like, okay, I am going to dinner with my friend, or we're going to the beach, or I'm going on this vacation. It has to be scheduled or else it won't happen. That's me. Some people probably have to schedule out, their cold calling or whatever. I have to schedule in fun time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is a good point. I definitely think scheduling free time is my secret to not burning out, but everyone's going to be different.
Yeah, no, definitely 100%. And I'm not doing this to throw curveballs at you, but I'm genuinely curious because, as you said, we hear so many different things from so many different people. Not all the time do we get to hear it from someone else that is our age that's doing it right now in real time. And so let me ask you, what does your life look like now being an entrepreneur that changed from before you really got heavy into this, owning multiple business? And what does it look like with your social life and the people around you? Because a lot of the times, most people our age are still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to say, hey, I don't know what I want to do with myself. I don't know what I'm going to major in. I don't know where I'm going to get, where I'm going to go after college. A lot of people are still just figuring this life stuff out. What did your social life start to look like as you started to grow, not only as a person, but as a business owner, and realize that not everyone around you is on this hyper fast track to where they want to go?
So an instant decline in friends. Not like no hard feelings. I just, you read books and you are who you surround yourself with. And there are a lot of people our age who are very confused. They're not ambitious. They're kind of jumping from job to job or still not really pursuing a career. And I really didn't want to be too affiliated with that because I didn't want that to slow down my ambition at all or, absorb some bad qualities. So there is absolutely no shame in kind of gently cutting ties or associating yourself less with people who are not on the same path. Unfortunately, in my area, I live in a beach town. So there's not a lot of people in my area who are my age who are really ambitious. They're all older because they're all retired millionaires. So I have kind of gravitated toward an older friend group, which is fine. But my social life has decreased. And a lot of entrepreneurs that you're listening to will relate. They kind of feel isolated, maybe like guilty for not going to bars more or something. But it's it's not something that brings me too much joy. So not a big loss.
Nah, 100%. I was always that guy in high school, in college as well, that I was the party guy. I never drank, never smoked or anything like that. I was just like, you need someone in the circle. I am your guy. Let's get this party jumping. And for me, it was one of those things. I ended up starting to drink socially after college, but I never ever was that type of person to just get like super wasted or drunk or anything like that. And then as of recently, I was just like, there's really no point in ever drinking again. Honestly, I just been thinking, because honestly, I said, we're both in the business of working with our minds, and anything that can, I guess, derail you from working at your best, and it's like, there's no real point. So I'll save it for like birthdays and things, like my own personal birthday. But aside from that, yeah, I'm just to the point where it's like, it's not going to help me get to where I need to get to. And it's like, that is critical as we get closer and closer to getting over that hump, that edge. Let me ask you another thing too. As you mentioned, it's hard for us to find people that understand us and feel isolated. We tend to feel isolated, right? Mm-hmm. Being another young person in this entrepreneur space, a lot of people think that older people, rich people don't want to help them out, don't want to help them get to where they want to, and that they're just part of the evil 1%. What's been your experience as another young person that's been getting it going and figuring it out?
I've had actually fantastic experience with older people. And I have put myself out there a lot. I did attend a lot of networking events which only older people go to. And fortunately, I kind of live in a wealthy area of Florida. So they just happen to be either retired or currently working millionaires. And I mean, my advice is to go up to them and not at all talk about yourself. Don't talk about your business. Don't say, hey, I graduated with a full ride scholarship and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And I only ask questions. Ask questions about them, what they want. People want to talk about themselves, and then offer value. Say, oh, well, I'm actually really good at copywriting, or I'm really good at, I can organize your email, or provide them value. And that is when they will perk up and owe you a favor or want to help you or want to assist you. Or just see your ambition. I mean, people want to give back, but they don't want to give back to someone who's only in it for themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Have you read Dale Carnegie's book, the How to Win Friends and Influence People book?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounded exactly like you're spitting out something from that book, because that's exactly what he talks about. And so for these networking events, what was it like being the youngest person in the room? Myself, I also go to a lot. I'm actually going to one after this, in about an hour after we record this. But one thing I didn't make a lot of money last year. But one thing I did better than most people is I networked my butt off. I have so many connections. You could drop me off at any airport in the country and I'm good. I'll figure it out. I can make a call or two and I'm set forever, right? But like, what was it like going to these networking events, putting yourself out there, putting yourself in uncharted waters and figuring it out and being, as I said, I hate to keep bringing the word young, but not too many people on my podcast are my age. So I'm going to abuse it for this episode and just figuring it out, being the youngest person in the room.
Yeah, I love it. And I think at first it can be overwhelming, but it's such a superpower. I mean, you stand out, people want to talk to you, you go up to people and you instantly have something to talk about, or they want to ask you a question. Or the funniest thing, and that I've gotten the most luck with, and sense of referrals and work, is it's called FAVOB. It's basically a veterans organization for old white male veterans that are like 50 to 80 years old. And here I am, like this 22-year-old girl who's not a veteran. And I just show up and I got so much referrals because I talked to them. I asked about, what they're doing, and they all just happen to own businesses after the war or serving or whatever. Yeah. And it really is, it's not a superpower, but it's a weapon you can use.
Yeah, no, 100%. And let me ask you too, because you mentioned earlier about providing value. Mm-hmm. Did you have any limiting beliefs that you had to overcome in terms of like, oh, these people have already made it. These people are already successful. They're already later on in their life. They could probably hire out or buy anything they want. They probably don't need anything. Were there any of those kind of limiting beliefs that you had to face once you got into it?
Not really. And I'll only say, I'll admit that I'm just cocky. And I think a part of it is, confidence. I've always kind of had it, but I truly think you can see characteristics in others and kind of just absorb it. And so if you're listening to this, I truly believe you can just go in there and just for 30 minutes, just exude confidence, steal my confidence, and really just provide value. And if they already have someone who's their assistant or making their videos or doing their copyright, okay, like that's not a big deal at all. Worst that can happen is they don't need you. Best that can happen is you unlock a connection that will expand your network.
Yeah. And so let me ask you, what was your elevator pitch when you hopped into these networking events? Did they ask you, hey, who are you? Like, what do you do? What was your thing, especially when you were starting off? Like, what did you say when you walked into these networking events?
It changed a lot, not only because I was focusing on one business at one point. So one, it was my payment processing. Another one, it was just outsourcing, which was outsourcing. I mainly pitched that one. And then another one, it was just, I did digital marketing at one point for people. So it kind of did change based on my atmosphere and who I was actually talking to. But it really was just kind of the copywriting trick to focus on the benefits and not the features.
Yeah.
You know, so focus on with the value that you can provide to them and not the stuff that you do, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. And for anyone that doesn't understand, like a feature is, let's say you have heating seats. Cool. What does that do for me? What's in it for me? The heating seats will make sure that your butt is warm, and especially here in the Northeast, we don't have the luxury of being a beach town. We're cold right now. I mean, today's a beautiful day actually, but just yesterday it was like 30 or 20. And in the wintertime, it can get to like below 10, right? And it gets colder even further up north. But it's like heating seats is the feature. The benefit is that your butt will be warm when you drive and it's like 10 degrees. That is the benefit. Mm-hmm. What's in it for them and being able to share that. Let me ask you, because I know for me, a lot of this stuff was YouTube University that I learned, battle testing it, just throwing myself out there, figuring stuff out. How do you pick up these skills? Was it through maybe a professor at college? I'm assuming it probably wasn't, but where do you pick up these skills? Copywriting, as you said, outsourcing, digital marketing. Like, where did these skills that you're in tool belt start getting acquired?
Yeah. So like you said, definitely not college. I was an actual entrepreneurship minor, but they still don't really teach entrepreneurship nonetheless. But really it is absolutely trial and error. But before that, it's just like you said, I consume books. So I read business books. I have them all behind me. Podcasts, YouTube videos, mentors, I consider people on YouTube, like Ed Milet, like we were talking about, a mentor of mine. I have never met him, might never meet him, but he's still a mentor to me if I consume enough of his content. So all of that, let's say you specifically want to learn one skill, and that's copywriting. Watch copywriting videos on YouTube, listen to the podcast, and get a book all at the same time. If you do 3 at once, you're going to pick that up 3 times faster. Yeah,
100%. And let me ask you, you mentioned mentors. Who are some of these people that kind of guided you? Who were like your invisible guides that helped you along the way? Because a lot of the time, as I said, most of these people couldn't from like university. They're not $1 million entrepreneur, business owner people. It's a lot of time they're just reading off the curriculum, and not to knock them at all. But as I said, they're not Ed Milet. They're not these, these big household entrepreneur names. So who else did you look after and look up to when you were all figuring out this journey?
So in my personal life, obviously, I got to shout out my dad. My dad's a big mentor, entrepreneur. And then like you were kind of saying, the YouTube mentors, I definitely recommend and listen to like a Lewis Howes, or he's the School of Greatness. Alex Hormozi, he's young. He made his, there we go.
He got his,
$100 million offers. And he's young. I don't even think he's in his
He's 34. He's 34.
34. Alex Hormozi, Ed Milet, Bradley, all those great people. And I focus on a different mentor during a different skill set I'm trying to pick up. So it's not all scattered. It's like phases. And then in person, I do have my own. I'm actually working with a coaching agency right now. So personally, Satem Angali is another mentor of mine. He's kind of big on Instagram as well. So y'all should check him out.
Okay. Let me ask you though, you mentioned too, another key point I don't want people to skip over in your phases. How do you get specific? Because a lot of the time when you're jumping into this entrepreneurship game, it's like, you just want to consume all the different books, all the different podcasts. It's a little exciting. It's something that, as you said, when you don't really get taught this stuff at school and then you finally get your hands on a lot of this stuff, it's like, wow, I want to learn everything. So how do you get focused down and know what season that you're in, or what phase that you're in, so that you can strategically pick out mentors and people to look after that benefit you in your position at that point in time?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as you are building your business, there are different steps of building a business. So that kind of determines what phase I'm about to get into. Like when you're setting it up, you'll want to watch YouTube videos on maybe making an LLC, or like how to set that up and how to set up your CRM and, certain stuff like that. There's kind of no mentors for that. That's just kind of certain YouTube channels, but not really mentors. Yeah. But then it really gets into, okay, well, now I really have to focus on client acquisition. And that's when, you start researching it on YouTube and Google, and you'll find books, and then you'll find YouTube will plug the most watched people. That's how you find Alex Hormozi, right? He's huge on client acquisition. And then you'll go to sales. Well, then you'll hear about Jordan Belfort, who's Wolf of Wall Street. He was a mentor for me at once, ironically. And Brad Lee, who's also in sales, and Grant Cardone, who's in real estate and sales. So really it's focus on the skill. And I love the analogy of there's a lamp in your room and that provides light, and that's great. But then there's a laser and, that can cut through walls or whatever. That's kind of what your focus needs to be like. That's how you're going to acquire your skills faster, is focus. Don't try to do sales and marketing and copyright all at once.
Yeah, and 100%. Yeah, that was my issue. And I'm very fortunate where I could kind of almost in a way keep up with it, but I was so distracted learning too many different things. But is this entrepreneurship game when starting up is just a game of putting tools in your tool belt. I want to ask you, where are you taking all this? Like you have three or four businesses now, and you're only 22. Like, where is this headed for you? Like, what's the end goal for this?
Yeah. So what should be reassuring for your listeners is I don't really know. So all I know right now, it's because I have a million things I want to do, right? I want to be the next Alex Hormozi. I want to be a mentor and not influencer. I hate that word, but someone who can reach millions or a coach or a public speaker or own my own agency. But I'm almost too young and too new to focus on one of those. So right now I am just saying yes to kind of everything. Not that I want everyone to be a jack of all trades, because that, master of none kind of thing. But
wait, hold on. Yeah, gotta finish the quote. Jack of all trades,
master of none.
But still better than the master of one.
Oh, I actually didn't know it ended like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So I am saying yes to a lot just to gain experience. But eventually, once you become more specialized, definitely start being pickier and saying no.
100%. And let me ask you, what have probably been some of the most helpful tools that you picked up so far in your tool belt that you've been using that have helped you continue to progress and continue to grow?
Oh, are we talking about skills,
skills or mindset or anything in general? Like, what's helped you grow the most? Well, it could be like a mindset shift or mindset tweak that you might have made. It could be the actual here's a sales script that made me 10x my business or whatever it may be. But what are some of the tool belts that you've used to help you grow? And it could be, let's split it up into phases, right? Your beginning phase, your kind of middle of the road phase, and your tool belt now phase that you're currently at.
Well, in the beginning, it's absolutely not a skill, because in the beginning, you're not going to have any skills, really. If we're being honest, you're going to think you do, but you kind of don't. So it's all mindset. It is, you're going to fail every day, but you're not really going to acknowledge them as failures. You'll take them as lessons. You will learn, you will pivot, and you will keep going. In the beginning, it is about consistency, being persistent, and doing the boring work, period. Because you're going to want to quit about 80 times. Now, I'm not saying if you hate something, you can choose something else if you hate it, because that's never going to be sustainable, but you get the point. Next, honestly, I think the next phase of importance for me and for most is, like you were saying, networking. It is really getting out there, meeting people, opening the doors, going to events, using your LinkedIn, just being more social, because that really is a shortcut, is who you meet. It is a shortcut. Then phase 3 really is starting to niche down on, I'm the best at X, Y, and Z, or I can do this for you, because you don't be that jack of all trades. It's important as an entrepreneur, but then you really do have to specialize. Right now, I really think the most value I provide to businesses, I'm really good at seeing systems. So I'm really good at going in there, seeing how they're spending their time, and just going, oh, well, you actually need this CRM because it consolidates 3 of the apps you're using right now. Or actually, if you just make this form, you can save 3 of those steps. Or I'm really good at consolidating systems and streamlining. That's not going to be for everyone, but that's kind of where I found myself.
And now let me ask you a follow-up question to that. How do you get good at the skill of portraying that value to someone else? Because a lot of times we have the conviction, we have the skill, but then explaining that to someone else is where it usually gets lost. So how do you get good at that skill of portraying and explaining your value that you present to someone else so that they'll be willing to take you on, especially when starting off?
I mean, kind of like how you presented it, it really is having the conviction. That really is half the battle. Like, you can't sell something that you don't really believe in. You know, it won't come off as believable. So really, truly believing that you can provide value for that person and having that social proof, whether that's testimonials or whether that's doing like a sample for them to actually prove, hey, look, I did this for you. And so really having that conviction and then having proof to back it up. And if they're not interested, there's no point in forcing it, in my opinion. I mean, sure, follow-up's important, but after about 7 touches, they don't see it, then move on.
Yeah, 100%. And now let me ask you, because you mentioned testimonials. Usually when you're starting off, you don't have anything. What's your thoughts on the idea? Because a lot of people say when you're starting off, work for free. And a lot of people say, hey, you should charge what you're worth. Don't work for free for nobody. I remember literally on one of my YouTube shorts that I posted, one of the guys that I interviewed, he's a public speaker's friend of mine. He mentioned that, like, what he mentioned an ultimatum. He was like, would you rather work for the guy that pays you $15 an hour that runs the grocery store, or would you work for the guy for free that makes 10 times what the grocery store owner makes? And then one guy commented like, oh my goodness, it must be nice if, you know, what about all the people in this country that can barely pay rent or something like that? And so it's like, it gets so deep into the weeds. So I want to hear your perspective on this idea of working for free.
You know, when you're in the beginning and you're hustling and you do need social proof, you do need testimonials. And it's also like, if it is someone that does have a valuable network, let's say, I think it's like no brainer, do the free work. I think it's absolutely worth it. It's going to have a huge ROI. They're going to refer you to people. You're going to get that social proof. I don't think, to my knowledge, I did a lot of free work. I definitely deeply discounted everything, but that's because there was a cost to me. Like, if I'm paying a VA, you know, I kind of want to at least break even.
Yeah.
But then charging what you're worth, you're never going to really charge what you're worth in the beginning. You're going to significantly increase your ticket for sure. But in the beginning, I definitely had testimonials from like my parents and my uncle. And I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
No, 100%. And a lot of the time when it comes to that, it's not like a fake testimonial. They're actually speaking to your character. They can't speak to your business yet per se, but they're speaking to your character and you run the business. So it's like, if you're a good person, most likely you're going to go out and to do good work, at least make your best effort to do good work because you want to do good by the other people. So don't knock the personality testimonials as well. And I want to ask you, you mentioned higher ticket. Let me ask you, what was the biggest thing that you sold, if you don't mind me asking?
I guess, as weird as it sounds, myself. I was, it sounds terrible. But I contract myself out to businesses and other startups. And right now I'm working with a accounting software startup. Don't know if I could disclose a name or anything yet. Actually, probably can't. It's revrex.com. And so basically I am helping them with their CRMs and website on the side. And I got to charge $5,500 for like a week of work. So that was really exciting for me because it wasn't even like my business. It was just like, oh, sure, I'll help you out. And I got to charge a lot because I was able to prove myself, provide quality work, communicate quickly. And, it's worth. Now I have some years behind me too. So it helps.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what was the journey like getting comfortable selling higher and higher ticket stuff? Because at $5,500, a lot of people our age don't even have that money in the bank, right? A lot of people our age, like $5,500, that's a lot of money to most people our age to grasp. And some people will, in a swipe or in a check, send you it in full, or even in right. So it's like, but then also it's like asking for that, right? It's something that you have to usually get over when you're not used to. So let me ask you, what was it like starting to sell higher and higher ticket prices items, and what was it like finally breaking that 4-figure threshold of like, hey, I'm going to charge $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, $5,000, and you know, what was that like?
Yeah, so it is definitely intimidating at first, especially being young. I mean, being young, people just associate you with less credibility, less experience, less skills, everything. So fortunately, I worked with them for a while, and so they knew what my worth is. And then as the things they were asking kind of escalated, so did my price. But really, it's stuff like Alex Hormozi was teaching, where really you throw out the highest number you can think of. The worst that can happen is they negotiate down. So really, I probably would have taken $2,500 easily, but I said $5,500, and they were like, okay. And I mean, that's how, and it's easier via email, right? So you don't have to like look at my eyes. But really know what you're worth, know the value, be able to back it up. So be able to give them an invoice and say, here's what I did for you, here is what it's worth. And not, don't ever give an invoice based off time. Do it based off of value. It didn't take me long to do that, but it's worth way much more. So definitely have the balls to charge high. And if they negotiate, they negotiate.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you mentioned too, don't charge based on your time. That's why I never understand why people are pushing so much for the minimum wage thing, because it's like literally just provide more value. Boom, problem solved. And there was this one guy, he made like a funny video about it. He was like, if you work at McDonald's and you're flipping patties, they'll probably pay you like $10 a month. But if you learn how to whistle and you whistle while doing it, they might give you an extra $1 or $2, right? It's like little things like how you could provide more value. How could you do things a little bit better, entertain people? And Hormozi, his $100 million offer book helped me out a lot. And it really breaks it down in a way that's easy to grasp. So now just started getting closer to wrapping up. Nikki, where can we find you at? You dropped a ton of nuggets, and I know we took a bit of a hiatus. We were supposed to talk about delegating, but I let my curiosity run wild. Where can we find you at? Where can we connect you at if we want to learn more about your journey and what you got going on?
Yeah, so personally, I pretty much only have Instagram. So that is just my name. So that's Nikki, Nickie, Cobble, Cobble. I spell Nikki weird, I know. And then if you really are, you're a hustler, you're a side hustler, you're an entrepreneur, and you want to grow and delegate, get a VA, you don't even need to buy anything from me. Let me just talk to you, and I'll help, just like this, I'll help figure out if it's even worth it. So my website for that is just www.youroutsourceaid.com.
Amazing. Now it's time for our rapid fire round. Question number 1. What is the most impactful lesson you've learned in life?
Oh my goodness, that's a deep question right off the bat. The most impactful lesson I've ever learned? God, it's probably something extremely cliche, like there's no such thing as failure, just lessons or something like that. Because you really, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to fail, get up, and try again. So I'm going to stick with that.
What is the most admirable trait a person can have?
Ooh, admirable. Gosh, I'm really cocky. Like, I'm a kind of cocky person and confident, but I also think humility and generosity is huge. Like, just like how to win friends and influence people, really flipping the script and asking, what do you do? How can I provide value to you? Having that humility and that generosity from a pure stance, I think that's extremely important.
If you had to change someone's life with one book, which book would you recommend?
Oh, I might have to reference it again. So How to Win Friends and Influence People is what opened my mind to this whole world. That was my first personal development book I ever read. Now, when it comes to business, the 2 or 3 books I recommend the most are The One Thing, 4-Hour Work Week. Atomic Habits is also good, but that's not really business. And maybe I'll throw in that Alex Hormozi book, $100 million Offers. That captures a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you like The One Thing, stay tuned. Gary Keller, I'm going to have him on the podcast sometime next year. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. Actually, I do know exactly how I'm going to do it. I have a plan and it's already playing in place. But let's see. What is the legacy that you're trying to leave behind?
The legacy that I'm trying to leave behind, I guess that's really similar to just emphasizing the grind and getting out of that rat race for people our age, because we really are conditioned to want to work for other people and just, okay, go to school, get good grades, work for someone else, retire at 65, die. And I don't want that for me or anybody else our age. I want us to have passive income. I want us to be able to travel. I want that to be normalized. So I don't know if that's really a legacy, but that's something that I do. It's an idea that I want to help normalize.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And if someone wanted to embark on their walk to wealth today, what is the first step that you would recommend?
Embark on their walk to wealth. I'm going to go back to kind of outsourcing / delegating, but not really, is just take that one step of set an alarm every 3 hours or something and write down what you were doing and how long it took you to do it. Because to succeed in anything, just to start scaling, to start working on your business, you really have to know where your time is going and to how to optimize it, optimize your time. And that just starts with a simple time audit. So I would recommend that.
Nikki, it was a pleasure having you on. Thanks again for dropping nuggets that you did. Thanks again for us having this conversation. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to what you have in stores.
Thanks. You too, John.